So I wanted to go over my card design that I came up with for the Design Your Own Sorcery card contest that's going on over on the Facebook page. I had so many design ideas, a lot of Atlas, a lot of spellbook cards, but I really wanted to potentially win the blank spellbook card. So I decided to submit this one here, which I think is not only really thematic, but it's would be a really cool addition to the game for what I will talk about in a second. Um, so the card is called Quicksand. It's an aura. It costs 2, and it is 1 earth and 1 water affinity. It would be kind of the introduction to the first dual element spellbook card. And after doing research, kind of the reason why I decided to go this route was because after doing research on what quicksand is, it's kind of a mixture of, salts and water, earth and water. And so I thought, what better way and what more thematic way than make this an earth water card? As I mentioned, it's an aura, and it's an exceptional. And the flavor or the type line says an exceptional aura of inevitable end. And the reason why I came up with that was because with quicksand, if you stick around too long, you'll eventually meet your demise. So I thought this was kind of a cool, clever way of, for this card. The effect of the card says at the start of your turn, minions and artifacts occupying affected sites are moved to the subsurface. Dispel Quicksand. So to see this in practice, I'll go ahead and make a card to scale real quick. So let's go ahead and write out Quicksand. Okay. And let's set up a little board state real quick. Let's say here. Okay, and let's say I'm on the play. No pun intended, but yeah, let's go ahead and tap and play our own village. And let's say we are going to pay 1 for our very own soldier boy. We are going to pass turn. It's the opponent's turn. And they copy us and they decide to play their own village as well. And they pay 1 for their own soldier boy. Now it is my turn. And I play a summer river. Now, typically, not all the time, but traditionally you would move up to kind of put some pressure on the board. There's a couple reasons why you wouldn't. They could potentially be playing fire and they have a desert, but we know that we have quicksand in our hand, and I'll show you one way how we can use this and not actually move up and use these soldiers as better blockers. So we're not going to move up. We're not going to pay for quicksand, even though we could right now because it only costs 2. We met the requirements of 1 land or 1 earth and 1 water. We could play it, but we don't want to show our hand too quickly. So we are not going to do anything. We're going to pass to our opponent, and they're going to play soldiers' biggest enemy, a desert. So we're glad we didn't move up. They will move their soldier up, and on their turn 2, they play a boss troll. Okay, so, this is a really good start for our opponent here. They already have 4 power on the board, and that's very, very threatening for, at this stage in the game. So what we're going to do, our opponent passes, and let's say we play our site. Now, what we can do is we play quicksand. Let's just say we play it here. Now, what happens is as we mentioned before, there's no effect that is actually taking place right now because it says at the start of your turn, which would mean the next turn, because our start of turn has already passed for this turn. So we can go ahead and pass turn to our opponent. Now, this is where I was talking about the card design and really encouraging movement throughout the board, which I personally am a huge, huge fan of, which I'm sure a lot of you are. My opponent has decisions to make here. They can move forward. If they do, then when they pass turn, quicksand will take effect, killing both of these minions. They could stay put, which wouldn't be good for them because the quicksand would take effect and they would both be buried. They would then have to either move back or the opponent would have to play their sites to the side because in this part of the game. If the opponent played a site here, they couldn't move there because it would still kill them. The opponent would have to play a site over here. So you're kind of controlling the direction of the board. Let's say if I wanted to play a quicksand here and I wanted to just traditionally move this way, or if I wanted to move this way, you're encouraging the movement in that direction because your opponent's not going to want to play a site here, at least right now, because if they do, they still have to move backwards. If they played a site here, your opponent could move them here and then they could climb up this way. But you may have a strategy to where you're wanting them to do that. Let's say your next site you play, something else like a free city or a bottomless pit or whatever the case may be, a great wall, something like that. You're just controlling the board. I didn't mention it already, and if you couldn't tell, this is more of like a fortressy style control card. But it's not an instant kill because when you play it, it's not instantly killing anything. And that's why I felt that 2 mana was a really good cost here. I felt like 3 was a little bit too slow to take effect for that early game. I really think that 2 is kind of the sweet spot in play testing this idea. So yeah, let's go back to the original idea and let's say that we have everything like this. It's our turn 3. We play our site and we play quicksand here. Again, now the opponent has to decide what they want to do. Do they want to play a site here and move their minions to this site? Do they want to move forward? If they do, let's say, for example, the opponent swings here at this site. Now I have this foot soldier here. This is why I kept this foot soldier back, because I knew I was going to play a quicksand. I would let this go in this scenario because I know they have a boss troll. Even if I take that 1 damage and they decide to retreat, I'm still okay with that because I know that this is going to be gone at the start of my next turn. And look at the distance that I've created with this, just with this 1 card right here. So I would still have this around. Let's say that this was the opponent decided to do. They decided to retreat. They pass turn. Now it's my turn. At the start of my turn, the quicksand effect takes effect. And at the start of your turn, which would be now, minions and artifacts occupying affected sites are moved to the subsurface. Dispel Quicksand. So the effect takes place. This gets moved to the subsurface. It's a water site. And since this foot soldier does not have submerge, it would die. And then everything else takes effect. Nothing else dies. And then quicksand would dispel or just move to the cemetery. And that's how I intended to quicksand to be used for like early game. Yeah, so that's that. Now let me set up late game. Okay. Let's say we're over here. Let's pretend that we have a much bigger board. There's obviously much more things going on here. This is late game. Let's assume that I am on Death's Door and I don't have any minions. My opponent does though, and they are they're really trying to give me that death blow. I have a quicksand in hand, and I'm at Death's Door. Let's even just say my opponent's at Death's Door. They're not, whatever. And then I can play a quicksand here. Now, again, being on Death's Door, it also forces the opponent to move back. They don't want to stick around here, regardless of where these sites are. They don't want to stick around. So you're making them retreat. You're creating that space. And also what you're doing is you're allowing to, potentially put more cards in your hand as they're trying to get closer and closer to you. It basically, in this case, it's buying you a turn, as long as they don't have some sort of direct damage, like a lightning bolt or major explosion or something crazy. They are playing fire, so you have to be careful for that. But this really protects a lot of the minion heavy card decks. So yeah, that's again, just like the beginning of the game, the early game and the late game. Really, what this is doing is it's creating space and it's encouraging movement on the board. So yeah, this is my card design that I'm going to be submitting. It's called Quicksand. If you like it, please, go over to the Facebook page if you're not there already and like this image that I'm about to post. That would mean a lot. And thank you guys so much.